Hello. Good morning. So I had a couple questions come up on Reddit and in some YouTube comments in response to a comment I made about the armor system and how gold armor works and how clothing works and armor values and things like that. Some people were wondering where I got my information, so I'm going to show off a few things that you can observe in game to kind of understand how things work, and then we'll go into the save files and I'll kind of show you what's going on. So let's just get in game real quick and I'll show you a couple things. So first of all, you'll notice that I have tech armor, just full tech armor, and there's actually a million armor there, so I'm basically invincible, at least to cannibals and stuff. Let me see if I can find one to just smack on me for a minute to show you. There's nobody out here right now. Anyways, so one thing that you need to notice whenever you come in here and look at the armor is way over here. First, we'll look at the clothing. You'll see the clothing have different stats, and these are apparently environmental resistances, like your water resistance. I believe the top one is like your fire resistance, so you don't take as much fire damage if you walk into your campfire. And then there's comfort. Not entirely sure how that affects you yet. I didn't really do the research to figure out what the status, what they actually do mechanically. But they give you some bonuses. I can tell you for sure that the very bottom stat with the little umbrella, that's your cold or water resistance, so that whenever you get cold and wet, you don't lose as much energy from it. So it doesn't take up as much of your blue bar down there. You'll notice you get the same kind of stuff on the wetsuit, but you have maximum wet resistances. And then the armor, gold armor, you'll notice if we go to these pieces of armor, they don't have those stats. But if you go to the gold armor, it does have those stats. That's because it's treated similarly to the other pieces of clothing. So if you, right now, I think I'm wearing the tactical, or I'm wearing, what am I wearing? Let me put on the tactical jacket. I was wearing the leather jacket. I think the leather jacket's just a little tiny bit better than the tactical jacket as far as your resistances. But but you'll notice if I put on the gold armor, it will not only change my clothing but also the armor that I'm wearing. So it kind of takes up both slots. You have a clothing slot and you have armor slots. If you put on the gold armor, it takes up both of them. And this is actually going to remove my like million armor on this tech armor, but we're going to do it. If I put on the gold armor, notice that tactical jacket that I was wearing is back in my inventory because it took that off. If I put this on, it takes the gold armor off. If I put the gold armor off or on, it takes tactical jacket off. Well, wait a minute. Oh, it's because I have more than one tactical jacket. Anyways, let's do it with the leather jacket to illustrate, because I'm actually holding more than one tactical jacket. That's why it doesn't get removed here. But I'm wearing the leather jacket. That leather jacket no longer appears here. If I put on the gold armor, there's the leather jacket. It takes it off. So you can only wear one. If you're wearing the gold armor, you don't get these environmental resistances because the stats on the gold armor are 0. You also can't wear other types of armor. So if I put on some creepy armor here real quick, and then I put on the gold armor, it takes off both the jacket and the creepy armor that I just had on. So that's how that works. That's how gold armor works. It takes up both slots. And we're going to see in the save file how this works functionally. So if I just go here, go %app_data%, open that up. We're going to go here, we're going to go up 1, go to local low, end night, Sons of the Forest, saves this random number, single player, because this is a single player game. And I only have the one save file. I deleted all the other ones just to make this easy. But right here you can see player armor system save data. Now I haven't saved my game since I just loaded it a minute ago. So this still has the data from when I was wearing my tech armor. And here's how it works. So it's got a little bit of JSON here, and it shows right here your armor pieces. Sorry, let me clear my throat real quick. Shows your armor pieces. And you can see here I've got item ID 554, that's the tech armor, and I've got 100,000 points remaining on it, or 1,000,000 points of armor remaining on that armor, on that tech armor. And you can see that was in slot 0. In slot 1, I have item ID 554, and again, I've got 1,000,000 points of armor on that. And that goes all the way across, so one thing I saw that's interesting about this is that it skips over slots 2 and 3. I did a little bit of testing of just putting in armor points by editing the save file directly. And interesting things kind of happen whenever you try to put a piece of armor in slots 2 and 3, or any further slots that don't exist, because it comes down here. Armor slot 11 is whenever you're completely full. If you put in like an armor slot 12, armor slot 13, yada yada, it seems like it just ignores those. But slots 2 and 3, if you put armor in slot 2 and armor in slot 3, it'll remove all of your other armor, and it'll look like you're only wearing 2 pieces of armor. Anyways, I'm not going to go into that. But this is how your armor is saved. So if I change this item ID from 554 to some other type of armor, and you can look up item IDs online. There are a few lists. It doesn't seem like they've all been figured out quite yet. But if I come in here and I find the item ID for creepy armor, 539, and I edit one of these to, instead of being 554, I say that this is 593. This piece of armor in slot 0 is item ID 593. Oh, I accidentally scrolled to the end. 593, and I save that. And then I reload this game. What's going to happen is it's going to change the color of a piece of armor. So you saw whenever I first loaded this game, I had full tech armor. If I quit, and then I reload it, one of those pieces of armor is going to turn pink, because I just changed it to creepy armor. This can take a minute to load sometimes. But you can actually go into this save file, and if you kind of look at how this is structured, you can just grab a chunk of it like this, and you can change your item ID, what slot it's in, and the remaining points, and you can paste it in to this array, and you can give yourself any armor you want at any time with any value. And you can see, since I reloaded this game, that very top piece of armor in my HUD is now pink, because now that's creepy armor. And that's what I did. I changed the item ID from tech armor to creepy armor, and there you see it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take off my armor and put on gold armor, and we're going to see what that does in the save file. So I put on the gold armor. Now I'm going to save the game. There we go. And I'm just going to come over here. Now, this is the old version. Oh, actually, it just overwrote it. So here's what's going on in my armor system save data now. It says I'm wearing no armor pieces. This array is now empty. There are no armor pieces in there. Because I just put on the gold armor and saved my file, it overwrote all the armor that I had. Like I said, the reason for that is because the gold armor, it's treated more like clothing than like armor, but you can't wear it with armor. So it just takes off all of your armor. Now there is another file in here. Clothing system save data. There we go. And it says the clothing that I'm wearing is 572. Now I believe if I go and look up the item ID for gold armor, 572. That's what I'm wearing. You see? So it says I'm wearing the clothing 572, that's gold armor. Now, what would happen if I were to change that number to a different clothing ID? So let's see if I can find the ID for the leather jacket. Looks like that item ID is not here, so let's look at tactical jacket. There's the tactical axe. Oh, it looks like we have not figured out the item IDs for the tactical jacket and tactical. Just scroll through these IDs and see if I can find the ID for some other piece of clothing. What I could do, if I wanted to figure it out myself the long way, is just equip one of the other pieces of clothing, save the game, and then look in here to see what that item ID is, and then just jot that down. In fact, you know what? I'll just go ahead and do that so we can see it. So I've got this open. As soon as I save the game over this, it's going to overwrite this with the new data. So I'm just going to come in here, and I'm going to put in some other type of clothing. We'll figure out what the item ID for the pajamas is. So there we go. Put them on. Oh, hi, Virginia. And then I'll save the game. And now we'll look in this file and see what it says. It says, in my clothing, I'm now wearing item 487. So if anybody wants to jot that down, the item ID for the pajamas is 487. You can use that later, add it to your inventory, whatever you want to do with it. That's how that works. And now in the armor system, it says I'm still wearing nothing. If I put on, say, a piece of creepy armor and a piece of hide armor, and then I go over here and I save the game, it's going to overwrite that. And now you can see it put some pieces of armor in this armor pieces array. Now it says I'm wearing 593 in slot 6, and it has 40 armor remaining on that piece. And right here it says I'm also wearing item 519 in armor slot 7, and it has 20 armor points remaining. So this one, 593, that's the ID for creepy armor, and by default creepy armor has 40 points of armor. Item ID 519 is the hide armor, and by default it starts with 20 points of armor. Now I'm going to put on some tech armor and some creepy armor. So we just saw that 593 is creepy armor. So I'm going to put on one piece of creepy armor. Oh, easy way to remove it all. So here's one piece of creepy armor, one piece of tech armor, and I'll do one of each. I'll do a piece of hide armor, a piece of bone armor, and a piece of leaf armor. And we're just gonna see the armor values for each of these. I'm gonna come in here and save the game. There, and now we have our new array. We also have this list of item IDs so that we can look them up and see what they are. And let's see what we have. 473 is equipped in slot 4 with 10 points remaining. 473 is the leaf armor. That makes sense. So leaf armor, whenever you equip a piece of leaf armor, you effectively get 10 points of health on top of your health. 593, I believe we know that's creepy armor. It starts with 40 points. 554 is 80 points. That's the tech armor. So tech armor is actually twice as good as the creepy armor. And then, what else did we have? That's the tech. 519 is 20. I believe that's the hide armor. And then 494 is in slot 11 with 35 points. I believe that's the bone armor. Let me just look up that ID to verify. 494. Yep, and you can see here. Item ID 494 is bone armor. So you can see all of the values for each piece of armor. If you equip full tech armor, you get twice as much armor as if you equip full creepy armor. Also, if you equip a piece of armor like this, you get that amount of, effectively you get that amount of health on top of your health. If you equip the gold armor, it does not work this way. Remember, you cannot equip gold armor along with another one of these types of armor. So you don't get any of that effectively bonus health. But what you do get is a % reduction in the amount of damage you take. I haven't dug into the game files and done any testing to find out exactly what that percentage is. And I think it depends on the type of enemy you're fighting, because it seems to be a lot more effective against the demons than against other types of enemies. But yeah, so the pros of the gold armor is that it's very effective against demons, and it never breaks, kind of like your clothing. And that's basically it. You don't have to spend any resources to make it or anything like that. The benefits of these other armor types is that you actually get this protection above your health bar, rather than that percent reduction in damage. So, and it's replaceable, and you can wear your clothing with it. So you get the bonus health, and you get those resistances to the elements, so you don't get as cold. You don't take quite as much fire damage, stuff like that. So that's that. That's one of the things that we were talking about on Reddit and in the YouTube comments, is the armor values and how they work. Now, another thing that I was asked about is how to edit the other items in your inventory. Like, how do I give myself 1,000 of each ammo, and 1,000 rocks, 1,000 sticks, 100 MREs. What else did I give my 100 meds? All that good stuff. I think I gave myself 100 grenades. I didn't bother with the arrows except for the carbon arrows. I gave myself 1,000 of those, and the bolts 1,000 of those. So how do we do this kind of stuff? And I'll show you that. So if we go back to our save files here, here's our save files. Right here is our player save inventory data. This is how the game keeps track of what items you have in your inventory. And it's very similar to the other files that we've looked at, but it's very long. Here's the file here, and it looks like a whole bunch of junk. So what you can do is Control F and search for something in this list. So there's a handy dandy little piece of code that I have here. It goes like this. It's item ID / close quotations, colon, and then what you do here is you just put in an item ID after that. So if I want to find, let me bring up the item IDs again. If I want to edit, say, how many air canisters I have, I know that the air canisters are item ID 469. So if I just put in 469 after this, it gives me the result, and this is the chunk of code that says I am holding some number of air canisters. So item ID 496, total count 4, and some items have some extra data that goes in the unique items list here, but this is what's important. So if I want to give myself a whole lot more air canisters, all I have to do is edit this number on the total count. So let's look at our ammo. Let me look up the ID for an ammo. 362 is pistol ammo. So if I come in here and I look for item ID 362, 362. Right here is where it shows how much ammo, pistol ammo I have. Item ID 362, total count 998, and then there's nothing unique or special or anything attached to it. So if I want to give myself 10,000 ammo, all I have to do is change this total count to 10,000. And now whenever I'll save this file and reload the game, and I'll have 10,000 pistol ammo. I don't want 10,000 pistol ammo. 1,000 is fine. One thing you'll run into if you put way too many items in your inventory is that it will crash your game. So whenever you open your inventory, in fact, if I open my inventory, you'll notice it goes a little bit slow. With a natural inventory that you can actually get in game reasonably, it's not this slow. It's actually pretty quick to open. But mine, I didn't do it that time. It wasn't so bad. But I have opened my inventory once already in this game. So whenever you open it, it tries to play a sound for a lot of the different items that you're holding. So it'll play a few different bottle clinking sounds and some ammo like stacking sounds. And if you're holding like 10,000 sticks and 10,000 rocks and 10,000 of each ammo, that's a lot of sounds that the game has to play, and it starts to lag and will eventually crash. So you can give yourself a lot of everything, but don't go way overboard and try to give yourself 100,000 of everything, because you'll never be able to open your inventory ever again. Be reasonable with it. You don't want to crash your game. But it seems like 1,000 of a lot of items it can handle pretty well. And the ammos, I like to give myself 1,000 of each ammo. And the other things I just give myself 100 of, like the MREs and the medicine. And then other things that you don't use as much, I just give myself the max natural amount. Like I have 10 candy bars, 10 energy mixes, stuff like that. You don't have to go overboard with that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's how you edit your inventory. So you can look up the item IDs. You can just go to Google and type in Sons of the Forest item IDs, and there are a few different websites that'll list them for you. Not all of them are listed. If you want to figure out what an item ID is yourself, what you can do is you can go into your game and say, I want to find the item ID for, say, batteries. And you have to look at how many batteries you have. Say you have 6 batteries in your inventory. Then what you can do is come into the save file and look for a total count of 6. So let's say, for example, I know that in my inventory are 6 batteries. I can search for this string that says total count and 6. And I can find every instance in here of where an item ID has a total count of 6. So say I find a few instances. So right here I can see item ID 434. I have 6 of those. And let's say, I don't know what this one is, but let's say this was just 6. I know item ID 392. I have 6 of those and stuff like that. Then what I can do is take note of the item IDs that I have 6 of. Then I go in game and I can use a battery. I can like refill my flashlight or something. Use a battery, and that'll change to 5 and save that. Then come into the save file and search for item IDs with a count of 5 and find the ones where the item ID matched the ones that I previously had 6 of, and that'll tell you which item ID is batteries. So you can kind of do a little bit of investigating to systematically figure out what item ID is associated with what item. That makes sense. So, and that's basically it. That's how you figure things out in your inventory to get all of the items that you want. That's how you add and remove things from your inventory. That's how the armor system works and how you can edit your armor. And that's basically all I had to say here. So, that's it. Have a good time with this information. I recommend, if you actually want to have a lot of fun in the game and play through the story and things like that, don't do this until after you've beaten the game and built a reasonable base and you're at the point where you're just wanting to survive and kill cannibals and stuff like that. Because if you cheat before that point in the game, it kind of ruins all the fun. But this is a save where I've been playing for something like 70 days. I've got a reasonably large base, and I've cheated the heck out of it at this point.